Hi guys, welcome back to week 4 of the Dixon Line podcast. This is a special week. Sadly, there's no film reviews for the real film junkies out there. I'm sorry, we'll be back to that next week. But this week, it's a very big week. As you can see, we have some guests this week. Well, we'll go around introducing ourselves in the bottom left corner on my screen. That's my co-host for today, Jonathan Katz. Jonathan, you want to give yourself an introduction?
Well, let's just say I'm the next big thing in the Mason-Dixon line.
All right, we're moving on. Top left of the screen is one of our special guests. This is Ivan Estay, also known as Santi sometimes. And
emphasis on special.
Special. He's our esteemed guest today in the focal point. Ivan, do you want to give yourself an introduction?
You guys ever have a classroom that has more teachers than students?
And bottom right corner, we have former league champion in the history books of this league, former league champion, Bill. Bill, would you like to say anything?
You know how it is.
All right, we're here to discuss an important trade that happened in week 4 that really changed the trajectory of our league, not just for this year, but for years to come. So let me switch over. This week is all about Kamira Dike, first team All-Pro this year.
Dang.
If you don't know what Kamira Dike is, don't worry about it. We're gonna fill you in this episode. As a reminder to all of our guests, we are focused on, this is week 4 of the podcast. We're going week by week, so we're really focused on the here and now of week 4. Let's not get ahead of ourselves and talk about week 16, week 17. We're focused on the here and now, all right?
I would also like to say he is also a one-time Pro Bowler, which is
Pro
arguably
Bowler.
More important than All-Pro.
He was on the same team as Shador Sanders at the Pro Bowl.
I think even more importantly is his partner, Lexi Adzija.
All right, Wilcast, we'll get there eventually.
WHL player.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
All right, you may be wondering why this is on the screen, but don't wonder too much. We'll get there eventually. Let me I have to move the scene around. All right, in OBS. All right, so we're comparing the stats of two different players who played in 2024. On the left, we have Tyreek Hill, who for most of his career has been an elite wide receiver. There was a solid 3-year stretch where you might even say he was the best or like top 2 receiver in the league. Had an electric run with Patrick Mahomes, but he sadly, as we can see through the stats here, had a down year in 2024. Less than 1,000 yards, first time in a couple of years for sure. Played all 17 games, less than 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Not a great year for him, and he was ranked 21st at the end of the year, which is not necessarily bad in a vacuum, but for an elite talent like him, multiple-time first-team All-Pro, it's a very disappointing year. And on the right, that's the rookie year of 23-year-old, at the time, Brian Thomas Jr., broke 1,200 yards, almost got 1,300 yards from scrimmage in general, obviously, 10 touchdowns. Number 4 on the year. It was a down year for receivers overall in the league as passing yards were down, but these are still great numbers any year for a rookie. Any thoughts, guys?
Interesting.
By this point,
I think the Cheetah still has it though.
Johnny thinks the Cheetah still has it.
Yeah.
At this point, last year, there was concerns about his long-term future with Tua Tagovailoa in Miami, getting multiple concussions, potentially CTE. Tyreek Hill seemingly being born with CTE. You know, there's just a lot to consider at this time.
Respect your children. Yep.
Respect your children. Now, believe it or not, 10 a.m. on September 22nd, 2025, a date that will live in infamy.
Yeah.
A trade
I'm gonna
drops.
set my calendar to remind me of this. So
Much
Infamy.
like Anthony Davis to the Wizards, without any sound, all of a sudden a trade appears in our league chat inbox. Billiam, currently, believe 2-0 or 3-0, something along those lines.
I was 2-1, I believe.
Okay, has a good team. Trades Tyreek Hill and an unknown Titans player for Brian Thomas Jr. And I have the picks for these players shown on the screen. Brian Thomas Jr. was the first round pick in a redraft league. This is a redraft. This is not the 109 in a dynasty season. This was sorry, not redraft. What's the word for it?
Startup.
Dynasty.
In a startup league. Yeah, this was our startup draft. First round pick Brian Thomas Jr. for a 15th round pick, and which I believe is the last round of the draft. And an 8th round pick. And also something I remember while I was doing research
Last round of
for
the
this
draft is like
episode.
24, I believe. I believe it was 23 to 24 rounds of the draft.
Okay. So Kamira Dike wasn't the literal last round. But something I remembered only while doing research for this episode is that Tyreek Hill wasn't actually drafted by you, was he, Bill? He was
No, so when we started, I was really looking to run it back, right? And so I thought, for me at the time, I was thinking, I really want to have some depth. So I had swung a deal with both you and Eric, and that involved me moving. Who did I move? All I remember is I got Tyreek Hill and Aaron Jones back.
Was that
I
the
moved
same trade
David
that I was involved in?
Montgomery. Yeah, I moved Montgomery, a first-round pick.
I received the second round pick from you for that trade.
Oh, a second, yeah, and then who did I move? And some random Seattle.
Maybe
tight
a wide
end, so I
receiver.
get Tyreek Hill, and
Was
it was
it
Elijah Arroyo. So I get Tyreek Hill, and then I could also get Aaron Jones because I was like, look, they're a little older, but I think they still got some all right gas to just be like solid flex pieces / depth.
Yep.
Plus,
So
Tyreek Hill was someone I thought would bounce back from last year. He was someone I was looking to draft, and Eric took before me.
There were picks involved in this trade.
yes.
Yeah.
Bill sent the first. Eric. There were multiple picks involved, but in Bill's case, he sent a first round pick and a second round pick essentially.
Yeah.
With some other players involved. Now, 8th round, when I look at this in a vacuum, it seems kind of low for a talent like Tyreek, but I think it kind of speaks to the kind of sentiment around Tyreek at the time of the draft that, first of all, he's old, so the dynasty value is a little lower, but there was a lot of uncertainty about his future around the time of the draft, which led to him falling maybe a little lower than he should have, but still falling quite a bit in the draft. Let's move on. These are the stats of all 3 players through week 3 of the season. So Dike, a single receiving yard. That's not a typo. That's a 1 receiving yard. Older than Brian Thomas Jr. by a year. Another stat. 21 rushing yards. Good for him. I don't
That's
know.
a very necessary stat. Yeah.
I don't know how he's averaging 7 rushing yards a game, but that is a necessary stat. It's a
Because we run a lot of jet sweeps and goofy things like that.
I did not look. I should have looked up his offensive snap count. That would have been an important factor to know. But 0 touchdowns.
Not good at this point.
49 punt return yards, which is honestly decently respectable, and 390 kick return yards, which already is a sign of things to come in this league. As this was the second year of a new NFL kickoff rule, and the league was just now catching up to the potential of this new rule. Really, Tyreek Hill, on the other hand, compared to his DK's 1 yard, actually has a decent 200 yards, averaging 60 a game, 1 touchdown only. For 34 points, averaging about 11, 12 points per week, which is not as much as you'd expect from him, but it's a normal slow start for a star wide receiver.
Flex, not bad.
Yeah, and BTJ sadly was having a really bad start to his sophomore season. 115 yards only, 1 touchdown, 9 rushing yards, but no return yards sadly. And we have a comparison of the fantasy points accumulated through all these players. So Ivan, would you like to talk us through the math that went through your head when you were considering this?
So, this was the day right after the Colts versus Titans game. The Colts won by 40-something. The Titans lost by 20-something. But I noticed, once again, this rookie... Well, I thought his name was something else, but now I know it's DK.
Oh, okay.
Was, getting a lot of return points, actually. Like week 1, I think he got 6 or almost 6. Week 2, he got a little over 6. And then this week, I think he got almost 7. Not 7.
Well, he must have gotten more than that if he has a total of 26 fantasy points, surely.
I'll look it up right now.
No, I'm looking at it.
It
was 5.8 the first week, 6.1 the second week, and 6.9 the third.
Johnny, that's going to be a little inaccurate because we did, after postseason, a little spoiler to things to come, we did change the kick return yard points due to some players.
Oh, did that retroactively change?
Yeah, so it retroactively changes the stats. DK had something like 10 to 12 points the week before. But you liked what you saw from him, obviously. How do you feel about Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill, I know he was an old head, but I just saw some additional value because, like you said, Brian Thomas Jr. was having probably one of the worst starts of any hyped up prospect, possibly the worst sophomore slump I've ever seen. It was truly terrible. But
how many? Wait, just stop pausing that sentence. For worst sophomore slump you've ever seen?
Yeah.
How many seasons of
sophomore slump I ever seen?
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
How many seasons of NFL football had you watched at that point?
Like I said, this was my first, so this was by logic the first. And therefore, worst sophomore slump I've ever seen.
I mean, you can't argue with that logic.
That is very true. Okay, so but
how many?
Sorry.
How many prospects have you seen have as good of a first 3 weeks as Chimere DK had?
I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't seen many other prospects. In fact, I would say actually, I just saw a lot of bad rookies. You know, I saw R.J. Harvey have a slump at the start of his year as well.
Heartbreaking.
I saw some other slumps. So,
Yeah.
if anything, Shamir Dike was kind of the exception in the year of slumps.
So when we're looking purely at the numbers on this screen, we do see 22 points for BTJ and 60 points combined for Tyreek Hill and DK. But I wanted to add a little context to this too. I was wondering what the stats would look like without return yards being factored in at all. And
What is the purpose of this, bro?
well, no, well,
Like,
just
wow.
it's just a thought experiment. Just as a thought experiment, I thought
hypothetical, right?
I just thought I'd
Hypothetical.
see what it would look like without return yards. Because obviously, first of all, return yards are not a standard rule in fantasy, despite the fact that they're here to stay in our league. But
It's league by league typically.
just to see maybe what is the long term projection of DK in terms of the receiving game, which is really more of a consistent threat in terms of fantasy points than return yards. And this
I'd
actually
say
paints a
it's
completely different
consistent
picture.
when it's the Tennessee Titans he's playing against. He's going to lose to every team that's not named the Jets.
Well,
And the Cardinals too. Okay. I'll
BTJ,
put
as we
that
can
to
see,
the side.
has 0 change to his points. It's still at 21.9 points. Tyreek actually loses like about a point there, as we can see. Just around a point. And Kamir DK loses 22 points through his first 3 weeks. That drops him from, what is that? An 8 to 9 point average through the first 3 weeks, so 1 point average. Those are Justin Jefferson numbers. And so while the trade is still while the trade is still slightly in favor of DK and Tyreek's combined points, it's now a lot closer, and now we can go into the territory of wondering if one good player is worth more than 2 alright players.
Big debate, some might ask.
Now, before we hear any other hindsight takes, I want it to be known that this is a text exchange between league member Karen Deep and Ivan, merely a half hour, not even a half hour, 27 minutes after the trade was accepted.
Notice he screenshotted this and included it in the slide and not the 27 minutes of 1. People telling me to kill myself. 2. People saying I ruined the dynasty as a first timer. 3. People like spamming other people to veto in the group chat because they think it ruins the dynasty. 4.
Well,
People
but
say
it seems
all
like,
of the above.
Ivan, just to point something out, it seems like you were also asking people to veto in the chat. You went out, and behind closed doors, obviously, I can understand having a little
You
shame.
kind of walked back. You kind of walked back.
I can understand
don't
a
know.
little shame, but it seems like you personally went out behind closed doors to save a little face and
shit.
asked for a veto yourself.
Interesting.
Ivan, did you buy their arguments, or are you simply a sheep who gets
Ooh.
bullied easily and falls into peer pressure?
Where the lights
I think
too
that's what
bright.
needs to be answered here.
Big
You know,
question.
there's something called the knowledge curve. You know, so first we start off with
As a noob?
the infinitely clueless guy. You know, like someone who knows nothing about this thing.
Okay.
Then we start with the
a
guy
troll?
who thinks. Yeah, we can call them a troll.
A troll, okay.
Okay, so we'll call it the troll. Then we'll have the troll who thinks he's not trolling.
Oh,
As in
okay.
the guy who thinks he knows stuff, but then clearly doesn't.
Who would
we
you
have
who would
the
you
guy-
say within our dynasty is an example of that spot?
I would say, so his name is Karandeep Singh.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Oh, the guy in the
Football
screenshot.
expert.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
See,
Okay.
that's the issue as well, you know? If you're being
Respect.
taught, they say it takes a village to raise a child.
They
But
do
what
say
if the
that.
village is, not the brightest?
So
In
you're
this
saying
case,
you're
you
saying
know,
at the
I'm
bottom of the
being raised
curve
by
is
not the brightest.
at the bottom of the curve there's sincere trolls, and right above it where you're, not my words, but you're claiming Karen Deep is, you're saying those are insincere trolls, malicious trolls even.
No, it's worse because there's people
Malevolent
that
even.
are trolls that know they are trolling, and then there are people that troll without knowing they are trolling.
Okay.
reminds
Unconsciously
me-
trolling.
This reminds me of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's the guy who wants to fuck his mom, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think
And-
that's the term they use in the scientific community, but
Okay.
Oh, but,
Yeah,
but
can I-
here we use the troll to ball knower curve.
yeah.
I
yeah.
see.
So from what it sounds like for me, this is an admission of a moment of retrospect.
Yeah, I think in retrospect, I stand firm on my principles and get laughed at the moment, just like how Galileo got laughed at for trying
Oh,
to claim
Galileo.
the sun was in the center of the earth.
And he was a pioneer, of course.
Yeah.
Rather the not the Earth being the center of the galaxy.
Of course, of course.
Can I bring up something I think we've also kind of skipped over?
Yes.
So this was not the original offer that I had sent to Ivan.
Of course. Okay.
For DK. I have the screenshot. I don't know if there's a way for me to share, but I could read it.
Could you actually send it to me on Discord, and I'll bring it up on my screen.
Oh yeah, I will do that.
Ivan, you seem to have a history that we don't need to go too deep into. I don't want to spoil future episodes. Of possibly not accepting the best trade offer when it is the first trade offer presented to you. Do you think this is because of psychological effects? Do you think maybe there's some information overload going, or do you think this is that unknowing troll situation that you were talking about earlier?
I think it's because my kindness is abused and exploited by the world.
That's beautiful, and I honestly have to feel
Respect.
some amount of agreement with that statement.
You know, there's some people, if they got $1 billion, would create an island to touch kids. But me, if I had $1 billion, I'd create an island to touch kids' hearts. You know?
I'm gonna bring up the screenshot. We're gonna move on from that statement.
Yeah.
All right, do you guys see this screenshot on my screen right now?
So to give some like
Hold on, wait
context-
1 second. Let me get the scene set, and we're good.
Yep. So a man who loves trades, I had gone off of Jerry Judy because I was not very high on him, which
He does love
in retrospect,
trades.
It was a good thing.
He
I
does
do
love
love trades. I did get Devonta Smith from Eric, who I was really wanted. I was like, I think he's still got a good couple of years. But
And
I do know a lot of
this
people.
was a separate trade, right? From the Tyreek trade.
Separate trade. So I moved off. Devonta was someone that I wanted, but I do know a lot of people were low on Brian Thomas Jr. after 3 weeks. So I was like, all right, now might be my time to buy low. So I go around, I check. I'm like, all right, who owns BTJ? And I see him not in a starting lineup, but on the bench. I was like, okay, we have something to work with. So I message Ivan at work. It's 8:28 in the morning.
Yeah.
I offer some players. I'm like, look, man, I got Terry, who ends up on Memphis team eventually, Devonta Smith. Maybe I'll throw in Kareem Hunt or
spoilers.
Malik Washington. And then after I sent the message, I was like, you know what? I also have a random rookie on my bench if you want Kamari DK out of Florida.
That's crazy,
And-
by the way.
And he said he'd do Devonta Smith and DK. I went, cool. And I sent it, and then he sent a counter offer for Tyreek. I was like, all right, say less. And that was the deal. Done in about 30 minutes.
In Ivan's defense, I'd like to hypothesize that almost any combination of these players for BTJ would have led to him getting abused. However,
I think if it was Devonta Smith plus like Tyreek or something along those lines, I think he would have gotten abused, but I don't know if he would have gotten vetoed.
it wouldn't have been vetoed.
What I'm thinking of, just
I know
our
some
knowledge.
people who would have vetoed.
I just from our knowledge of the first 3 weeks, I will speak from personal experience, and I will speak, I think, for 10 out of 12 people, or how many people do we have? 10 people in the league?
12.
12. I think 10 out of 12 people in that league did not know who Kamari DK was before that message popped up in our inbox, and due to that, for me at least, any trade that was only 2 players for Brian Thomas Jr. and one of them was Kamari DK, I would have probably vetoed, just because I would assume any trade that involves Kamari DK is trolling. But now I know we said we're not using hindsight. In hindsight, maybe I feel just a little different, but at the time that was my headspace, and I feel like Jonathan, you might agree with that statement.
Yeah, I knew Chamari DK.
You knew him?
I have a deep love for Cam Ward, so I've watched a few Titans games by that point.
Mm.
But I hadn't realized the impact that return yards would have. And I think that's the real difference here. It's not necessarily knowing Chamari DK, it's knowing just how important return yards would be this season.
Of course.
That
This
being
is
said,
Ivan,
Ivan,
points to returns.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Did you ever consider maybe you could get 3 players?
See, I'm
Or
not greedy
picks.
enough for that. I'm
Or
too
picks.
kind.
Or picks. I didn't offer picks, but I probably would have parted with picks for BTJ at this point.
He was throwing picks around back then.
I was throwing picks around.
Yeah.
He was throwing money in a
You already
spiral.
Though,
I ran out of
Against
picks,
me,
but
Bill.
then something happened.
getting high in the league, so I didn't value his picks as much. I suppose the first pick is still first pick.
Yeah, that's true. I think by that point he had already traded his 2026 first round pick.
I had a 2026 and a
Tyreek.
2027 third round pick left by the end of my
This
my
guy's
initial
getting
set of
picks.
trades.
Yeah, that is absolute like.
I will.
I was hedging my bets. I was like, I'm going all in. If something doesn't happen in 2 years, I'm gonna blow it up. But at the time, I was spending.
So this actually, from whatever reason, my memory. I'm getting old these days. Memory's is fading a little bit. My memory of these screenshots was a trade offer being made, and I've been talking down and adding Kamir Dike himself. Seeing it in this format, it's a little more understandable for me. When you say you can also add Kamir Dike on top, it seems like Ivan. That seems pretty opportunistic by Ivan. He was just taking what was offered. So I have to applaud you for that.
See, Mehmet, I think you're thinking of other trades Ivan was involved in later in the season, potentially, where he did receive better offers and then talked himself out of better players.
That's possible. I mean, honestly, anything is possible these days.
Yeah, anything's possible.
Yeah. Let me know what week that episode is. I might have.
Oh, we might have to do a follow-up. We might have to do a follow-up.
Yeah, we can do the follow-up. I'll hop back on.
This is the final slide of our presentation here. This is just a summary of the fallout of this trade. We kind of already spoiled this, but the trade gets vetoed, sadly. The trade is able to reach 6 votes. Ivan received a 3-week ban, and that was an executive decision from the commissioner, your host. And it was really, in my opinion, served to teach patience to a young man, to not trade away his first-round pick after only 3 weeks. And I honestly think it was decently successful. I think Ivan is a patient man these days. And
yeah, I mean, dealing with 3 more weeks of Brian Thomas Jr. will do that to you.
Of course. And after some valid protestation from league member Bill, I did add a finder's fee clause onto the trade because in all fairness, Bill did he has a nose for oil like Jerry Jones in the 70s.
Looking for glory holes.
He found a glory hole. He found Brian Thomas Jr. and he had a good hunch, and he found a player who was on the block that nobody else knew of. So he did actually later in the season receive a second-round pick because, sadly, spoiler, he did not receive Brian Thomas Jr., but he received a second-round pick from the person who did obtain him. And so I would say a fairly good resolution to the whole situation.
Do you want my updated side on my later offer whenever it was available, or is that a later topic?
No,
I'd like to ask Mehmet a question first.
Wait, I can hear you, Mehmet. Yeah, let John ask his question.
Mehmet, I think you and I should maybe talk about, before we move on, to see what happened after this. If we regret our vetoes.
I don't. I think, like I said, I stand by the trade ban that Ivan received, the 3 weeks. I think it's important in fantasy. I meant to say this on the earlier when we were looking at the draft trade positions, but I think not having a sunken cost fallacy and being quick to move on from players who you don't think are going to be good, I think that's a good trait. But I think 3 weeks for such a highly touted rookie is a bit of a mistake, and so I don't regret the veto. I think it taught an important lesson.
As somebody who loves Ivan and hates to see an unknowing troll,
of course,
I think the veto is important. However, I've also come to love Chimera DK, and as we now know, he is a first-time All-Pro this season.
And a Pro Bowler.
First team All-Pro.
First team.
First team.
Not second, not third, not fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me say a name that's on the second team All-Pro this year.
Yep.
James Cook. That was the only one I could think of.
Are you second team? Damn.
George Pickens. That's another second team.
Oh, that is.
Drake May. Kamir Dike is a better player this year than Drake May. That's what that tells you.
Should be in the MVP combos. Some are saying. I included.
That's what that says.
I mean, who else would be special teams MVP? Think about that.
In previous years, Jeremy Reeves, but not at the return position, sadly. DC Legends.
Okay, Bill, what?
Yeah.
What were you? Bill had offered to tell us about the offer.
Yeah. So afterwards, when it became time to trade, Tyreek Hill had blown his leg open.
I'm sorry. Another important context.
Live,
the game day after this trade was vetoed, in which I was gonna take Tyreek Hill off of Bill's hands. Tyreek Hill did destroy every ligament and cartilage in his knee and was out for the season.
Was that not I think it was before the embargo was lifted, because I feel like that's what pissed me off.
No, Bill. I was looking at the game log. You gave this trade after Tyreek Hill played 3 full games. The next game, week 4, he played half the game and came off with a destroyed leg.
Yeah, we watched it live.
We were at a bar watching the game, actually.
And Mehmet, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe there was also during this period a situation where only Bill could send trade offers and nobody else could even send a trade.
There was a 1 week early window, yes, I believe. Is that true, Bill?
Yes.
There was a 1 week early
Yes,
window.
there was
that
1
broke a
week
trade.
to work it out, which could not get something worked out. I was like, all right, I'll send you like a fuck ton of bombs. Because I even had learned some ball, I will say, because I was like, dude, I'll give you like Aaron Jones and Terry McLaurin and like some random late picks. And he was like, can I get Gibbs or London? And I was like, whoa. He's kind of learned a thing or two. He's asking for some real players. So I thought about
DK,
sending
though.
London and DK. I thought about trying to move Drake London or Kyron Williams, but I was kind of like, because I do feel like there was still some risk with Brian Thomas Jr. I do feel like something that a lot of people in our chat were talking about when the vetoes were coming around was that he was guaranteed to like be like a guy who'd go back to being like top 5, top 10, which I was like, all right, he's had one good year. I would like to think he'd continue that path, but some people don't, and I feel like there is inherent risk in that trade. So that's why I was like, all right, Drake London and Kyron Williams, I feel like are a little more established. So I was like, all right, I'll keep rocking with what I got. So I couldn't really draw something up where I felt like I was still not moving too many of my pieces because I did want to keep all right depth and some starters.
And something that we haven't really discussed either yet is that Brian Thomas Jr.'s road to being a star is a little murkier now that Jacksonville drafted 2nd overall, Heisman sensation, and Terry McLaurin, 2nd team All-Pro, a.k.a. Team Mehmet, superstar Travis Hunter. So the situation is a little...
This is true, albeit a lot of reports are saying probably might be playing a lot more corner.
Well, you believe everything you read in the fake news media, don't you?
Oh, true. What did Fox News say?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for real American support on this topic before I trust anything.
Respect.
I think more importantly than Travis Hunter is Shane Waldron seemingly being there to stay.
True.
This is all the material I had prepared. Is there anything else that you guys feel they need to discuss or anything you want to bring up?
Can we talk about what Ivan ended up getting for Brian Thomas Jr.?
Or do you want to handle this?
I think we can discuss that now because I don't think we need to come back to this in a future episode.
We come back to the DK trade later on.
From the top of my head, I believe Ivan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ivan received for Brian Thomas Jr. and Tucker Kraft. He's sending Brian Thomas and Tucker Kraft. He received Malik Neighbors and a 2nd-round pick for next year. Is that true?
I believe so. Because I got Eris's 2027 2nd-round pick.
Yes, I'm looking at the trade right now, Mehmet. That is the trade.
So Bill from this trade received a 2027 second, and Ivan received a 2026 second, which ended up being a top 5, I believe a lottery pick, which for our league is a top 5 pick. And like I said, Malik Neighbors, who his rookie year was a superstar despite not having more fantasy production than Brian Thomas Jr., had arguably a more electric season and had a great start to this year before sadly tearing his ACL.
Yeah,
true.
Very tragic injury.
Do you have any thoughts on that trade now in retrospect, Ivan? Now you've been removed a couple weeks.
I think, honestly, one of my best trades this season.
I actually
think,
would agree.
In hindsight, I don't know if Bill had Gibbs at the very start, but if you did,
No, I had Gibbs at the start.
If I did the Brian Thomas Jr. for Gibbs plus Jameer Dike, would have been an insane power play at the very start of the season.
Yeah.
A little unrealistic,
But Ivan,
possibly for that.
I would say
season.
Gibbs was going to require a lot of assets for me to move.
Ivan, that greediness isn't in your nature.
That
Now-
is true. Maybe I'll
I
have
think-
to give like a 2nd-round pick or something.
After the season, we've
Not
come
at
to
first.
see that
I
you're
can't
both
be
a
too-
ball knower and a lover.
True.
Yeah.
So, I think the conclusion really is that everybody got better from this situation. Actually, everybody.
I got a
I
free
think
second. I reloaded
Yeah,
my
I think
picks
so.
I'd sent, so I'm feeling pretty good.
everybody learned a lesson or two. Everybody learned a little ball. Some people kept trolling, but most people decreased the trolling.
Yeah. But the real
Arguably.
question is, was this trade, in retrospect, as bad as the future trade I would make with Johnny? Or is that for a future episode?
I mean, it's up to you if you want to get into that.
Yeah.
If that's
We
for a
can
future
get into
episode-
that too.
Well, I mean,
Because
wanna
that
talk
trade
about
is
the
honestly
eventual DK trade.
not influential enough to really have its own episode. But I'm gonna say it's this trade was definitely worse than that later trade. But if one of you two could bring up the specific terms of that trade because I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
I remember it. And I also remember I don't remember all the offers I sent him because I sent him a lot of offers, but
As you do.
I remember hearing some offers as I was in the call while I was
They-
being negotiating.
almost all of them were better than what he ended up accepting.
And sadly, during the offers, I remember Johnny texted me and said, "Mehmet, don't interfere with this negotiation." And you know what? For once, I said, "Ivan, you're at the wheel. You can handle this yourself.
You're a grown man now, son.
You're a grown man."
I think
The
the worst
following-
part.
We
was that
haven't
I
said
made
the
it
trade yet.
worse.
You did make it worse.
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah,
there.
yeah. At the very end,
is,
too.
For context, this is post-trade ban Ivan. This is supposedly into Ivan's ball knower arc. I needed a quarterback, so I offered him Bryce Young and Ricky Pearsall for Caleb Williams. Ivan, what was your reaction to this trade?
What? Caleb Williams and Luther Burden?
Well, that's
Okay,
what we were
so-
getting
No, well,
to.
that Bill, that's what we're getting to. The initial offer had no
Jumping
Luther
the
Burden.
gun.
And actually, Johnny, if unless I'm remembering incorrectly, I believe your initial offers also included a first round pick.
I had first-round picks. I think I had some RB1s in there at one point. I think Zay Flowers was in there at one
There
point.
was at one point Jonathan's 2027 I think first round pick was being offered alongside the players he just said for Caleb Williams.
It was 2028. I would never trade my 2027.
Oh yeah, because it's the arch draft, of course.
RCR.
draft.
He wants Lenore Sellers.
So Ivan, after you received that offer,
Well, let me explain why.
Okay. Explain why, please.
I had a Brock Purdy. So my thinking was Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall are both injured. So whenever they both become uninjured, they'll probably
Stack.
score a good amount of points, you know.
Some might say.
Of course, in hindsight, I know now that didn't happen. Ricky
is
Pearsall,
true.
after being uninjured, just did nothing. He just breathed air. But, back then that was my logic. As for Caleb Williams, he was also having a very bad slump at the start of the year as well.
I don't think the numbers reflect that, Ivan. I think you're creating a.
Here,
with
take one
some-
pause real quick.
Revisionist
I
history.
Take one
I
pause real
recall
quick. Let me
that.
pull up the Caleb Williams numbers because I can actually pull them up here before we keep going.
Compared to Daniel Jones and Brock
Well,
Purdy.
Daniel Jones was never on the table for me.
So here is
Well,
Caleb
compared
Williams
to my
week by
other
week
I'm at-
split actually. Which
If
week
you
do we
scroll
know
all the
which-
way down, you can see when the trade happened.
Okay, so October. So what date is that? Which week would that be? Does anybody know? Can anybody
Before week 11 is all I know.
Will be after week 6.
Ivan says after
week
week
6,
6.
before week 11.
So after I was at this game, sadly, after week 6 when he beat Washington,
I remember
really a brutal fucking performance. Sorry for cursing, but just
Whoa, it's a
maybe
family-friendly podcast.
maybe the worst Monday night of my life. He got 20 points.
He actually only seems like he had one bad game there, Ivan. And also, we still haven't gotten to, again, your immediate reaction to this trade. What did you do?
Oh, wait. Hold up. Let me explain further, because I recall this better now. So I had both Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy as well. And even though Brock Purdy was injury prone, it's like, okay, well, I have Caleb Williams, Daniel Jones, and Brock Purdy. I have a large amount of quarterbacks.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Indiana
and
Jones.
Daniel Jones, because everyone rated him so lowly, I was able to get him completely for free. And he was excelling. I
Until
would
the
say
accident.
he was a lot more consistent than Caleb Williams at this point. and
Free
scored
agent.
pretty well.
Free agent. Well, we're talking about consistency numbers. Okay, he has had 2 20-week points, so he was having some decent numbers, but I wouldn't necessarily call this an inconsistent stretch by Caleb. 24, 17, 29, 11, 12.
I think we're also overlooking Caleb's age here, quality of team.
24, first-round pick, alleged generational talent out of University of Southern California, not South Carolina.
University of spoiled children, as they
Mhm.
call it.
He does have pink nails. I mean, did that factor into your decision? at all?
Oh, that's big, some might
I
say.
thought he had black nails.
He
Well,
does
he changed
both, sadly.
Oh, shit.
I never saw the pink nails.
Do you know where Caleb Williams is
Both
from?
He's from I believe, the District of Columbia,
Okay.
Maryland, Virginia area.
Local talent, yes, local talent. I just wanted to make sure that was also on the radar.
Okay, he
So
knows
I
I did
ball.
not know that at first. If I knew that,
When I
think that would've
offered you
happened.
that trade, your reaction kind of made it seem like you felt like the trade was unfair for me. So, can you talk about that a little?
Honestly, I don't remember what happened.
Well,
I
okay.
wish I could
Do you want
explain.
me? So,
I can explain what happened. I just can't explain why
Okay.
the events happened that way.
you can explain what happened.
I decided to add Luther Burden to the trade for nothing.
Okay, so that trade went
as
through.
a neutral third party observing this, I believe the trade went something along the lines of, the terms were agreed. Let me pull up. It says the terms were agreed. Caleb Williams for Bryce Young and Ricky. Oh my God, Bryce Young. No picks. Bryce Young, Ricky Pearsall for Caleb Williams, and that was the terms offered by Johnny. And Ivan's next words were, "Is that it?" To which Johnny added Ricky Pearsall. So that's what Ivan means by added him
No,
for free.
the other way. I added Luther Burden.
I'm sorry.
Because
Ivan
I
asked
asked Johnny, "Is that
Ivan
it?"
asked, "Is
And
that
he was
it?"
like,
To which Johnny said, "Can you add Luther Burden on top?" So that's where the for free comes into play. And just to tie back in, because this is the Kamir Dike week, not the Caleb Williams week. So do you feel like, which one do you think taught you more of a lesson, this trade or the DK trade? That was the original detailed one.
100% the Caleb Williams trade.
Do you feel like you learned more from this one?
Yes, I feel like this
Understandable.
was the bigger example of being patient. Just because he had a few bad weeks, eventually he very much stabilized.
Oh, Ivan, I think that's the first time I've heard you admit that Caleb Williams is good at the sport of football.
That is crazy.
Well,
wait,
see
you
how
might
good he
know
is. We'll see how
ball.
good he is. All right, well, that seems like, to me, a good conclusion to this episode. Thank you, guys. Thank you to our special guest this week. It was a pleasure. Maybe I'll see some of you back on another date. We'll find out. Any closing statements you want to give?
Well, Mehmet, you have an announcement to make.
Well,
about
I'll give the
upcoming
announcement after
event.
closing statements if you guys want to say anything. Plug anything. You guys have anything to plug?
Shout out Bryce Young coming on my team because he did eventually get dropped, who I did pick up.
Yeah,
One
I
half
came out for
of
Tua
Ivan's return
because I thought
for
Tua would
Caleb.
have a generational game against the Commanders. He did nothing. But
I
That's
would
how
like
much
to
that
make,
was-
Solution.
yeah,
I would like to make an impassioned plea to the people, the fine folks at Sleeper, and ask them yet again, can you please add punters? Can you please add punters to fantasy? We need some Tress Ways on our team. We need some, what's the name of another punter?
AJ Cole, the best punter in the league.
AJ Cole. Some punt god Mr.
Ariza, Jake Bailey,
Jake
That's a
Bailey.
punter.
just to add some more names. Tommy Townsend, dog for
Tommy
the Texans.
Townsend.
Arr!
Art.
That's a good
That guy in
point.
the Steelers is a dog.
That's a good point. The fat one,
Yeah,
he's good,
it's a little chunky. You love a chunky punter.
of course.
Chunky yet funky, baby.
Ivan, anything from you?
I'm just very glad that Dynasty was in fact not ruined, and I think actually enhanced by this experience.
I agree.
Some might say,
I
and I
agree.
think I would.
I think we would all agree with that, Ivan.
We'd all agree.
Yeah.
And my final
you
announcement
know what?
for this
I've been
week-
very happy with Ivan's trading. That's what I will say.
Final announcement and plug for this week. Tune into reddit.com/r/the_Mehmet. There will be a special AMA going live right after this episode. I will be answering questions through close of business tomorrow, Thursday, February 5th. So come to the subreddit, subscribe, downvote if you don't like it, upvote if you like it, and leave a
Actually,
comment.
report it too.
If you
Make
made
sure
it
to
this far
report
in the
it.
video, leave a comment and say who was your favorite guest this week. And you're not allowed to choose me. So if you're gonna say me,
Oh
don't
my
choose
God.
me. Who's your favorite guest this week? Comment on the video.
I'm choosing Ivan. I'm choosing
Oh,
Ivan.
Lord.
And we'll see you guys
I'm
week
a-
5.
I'm a big
Chill
man.
with the glaze.
I will